Oh, Jesus.
Clarissa!
You know, the truth is, we could have left whenever we wanted. We weren't prisoners of the cave.
And why use my friends? Why are you switching with them? Why are you doing this?
Because it's scary, that's why. Have you ever stared into nothing and moved with it and felt a part in it? It's worse than when we were wilting into atoms. Worse than dying the first time.
No, of course not. But you have to, no matter how hard it is.
No, we don't have to. We don't have to do anything. Not anymore. Whatever you think you can do, you can't.
What happened to Ren and Nona?
We won't go back.
Clarissa! Is that it? Is she done? Are they, like, coming back now or something? God, we gotta... I don't know.
No, I think there's still time left. We can still do something.
Okay, what's the plan? What are we gonna do? Hit me with it. I'm getting my fifth wind. We can't let us be too late.
Well,
oh no, we have to go
Maddie
in,
said something
right?
on her whatever about
From the other
tuning into
side?
the source of it. Whatever this is, whatever we opened, has to be a part of that.
Okay, but the gate went blank on us, like all of them have been doing. How do we tune into something like this? I mean, what are you thinking? You're the one who's been doing this all night.
Just try a bunch of stuff until we either get body swapped with a bunch of pissed off ghosts or save the day.
Aye, aye.
Shit, okay. Okay, I feel like I can, so I'm gonna see if there's anything else to look at. No, there's just not. Okay. Alright, well then... Fuck, let's pull out our radio. What about 140? The color's wrong, but... No.
Okay, alright, this is something. Hopefully good.
Hopefully.
Oh my god, the whole cave's gonna crash? Oh my god.
But what's happening? Why isn't it connecting or whatever it does? I mean, are you doing it right? Still?
I don't know.
Alex, just whatever happens, just...
Jonas, are you here?
Can I move around?
Hello? Somebody there?
Oh, I'm underwater. Oh, that's good.
Guess not.
That's great. Oh, excellent. Underwater. There's a fucking submarine.
You've come to close the hole, right, though? Well, you're gonna find out it's not that simple. The horses have already left the barn.
Yeah, I've come to close the hole. I've come to do what Maggie Adler tried to do 50 years ago, all right?
Okay, well, it didn't work then. Why would it work now? God, you're so spoiled. You don't even know the cost of things. Closing the hole with your stupid toy will spare your friends from our bloom, sure. But it will seal you up in here with us.
Yeah,
You'll die
I kind of figured.
again and again.
You're just trying to scare me. That isn't That can't be the only way.
I mean, it can.
One last chance.
You don't
Holy
have
shit.
Die.
You can leave, you know, through the gate you opened.
And we keep
the girl.
Clarissa.
That's a good, like... No, definitely not. No, can't. And you keep Clarissa? No, off the table. Off the table.
She'll be happier with us.
What? No way. I'm not just gonna abandon Clarissa. Who do you think I am?
Who do you think we are? Do you think we wanted to be thrown away? Like some faulty appliance? We won't let it end like that.
They didn't know it was you. Nobody, barely anybody knew. It wasn't just Maggie's fault or their fault. It was a catastrophic event.
Catastrophic events. You make it sound... fated? Like some faulty appliance? We won't let it end like that.
I don't believe in fate. Things happen. And the people they happen to.
Yes, they do. We can feel this binding. You have maybe just a few moments left. We feel terrible, we do, but you have to know... Oh, getting started already. Okay, you want to play chicken with the void? Fine. We can see how long you stay on the throne. Just don't blink.
Oh, you don't want this. Then get out of everybody and I'll stop.
It's everyone or nothing, girl. Understand your... Alexandra, wake up!
I'm jumping the gun, aren't I? Like, it's hard for me to tell. And part of this, I think, is the aesthetic of the game, right? Like, it has established that I need to interrupt the dialogue, right? Like, it's not okay to wait for the conversation to, like, play out before I respond to it. The game has trained me really hard, and it's a hard lesson. But I'm at this point now where, like, I'd really like to get a denouement. I'd really like for the villain to, like, you know, lay out their whole monologue. But it makes me incredibly anxious, and the fact that the game is giving me the ability to interrupt and in fact saying, like, there's time pressure, there's moments left, and there might be time pressure. It's hard for me to tell. The line of dialogue of, like, oh, we're getting started already, makes me think that the game is not anticipating that I would behave this way, right? It doesn't think that this would be a natural reaction. It thinks that I would, like, let the scene play out, and it's probably going to prompt me at some point when I'm actually supposed to take this action. But I don't have total trust that it is going to do that, right? Because it is playing in these subversive spaces. It's playing with horror, and it's especially playing with, like, hesitance, right? This is a game that is all about, are you going to be hesitant, and kind of, you know, the aesthetics of the game really push back against that. So I don't know. I feel like the tension is great. It feels really good. I don't, like, maybe I'm gonna watch a YouTube video of the ending after this to, like, see, do they sit, because the writing is really good. I don't want to miss the writing, right? That's part of where the tension is, and that's, you know, that works. It's good. But I'm also, since I can have my cake and eat it too, I kind of am probably gonna play the way that it feels like I should play, and then go and watch somebody play it differently.
This course of action will only save those morons, not yourself. Don't you understand? This isn't the road you would wait.
Poor girl.
Joined in
Always
This is for my friends.
malice and
youth
it
is
The road of
middled. We all play.
by
Same
design.
Is that... okay.
Jonas,
That maybe
Jonas,
was some kind of a code.
where are you? Okay, this is gonna be fine. Just work through it.
Look at... Do you see my reflection?
Don't tell Michael what to do about Clarissa, okay? But Michael's dead. How could I even... Whoa, wait, what's happening?
Oh shit, I was on the other side. Oh
Are you-
shit!
Look, is someone there? Jonas, if you're still there, this would be a great time to say something. Don't let Jonas talk to his mom. It's not good for him.
Oh, maybe I should have let him.
His mom's dead. I know his mom's dead. What is... How is this possible? What's going on?
I don't know if that's what I should have said. Holy shit, this is super cool.
Well,
Fuck.
that could have gone better. Right. Time loop. Tell Michael he should go out on his own.
Oh my
What
god.
does this...
What?
What does this matter? He's dead. He's not here.
I'm conflicted. I'm really conflicted. Can I pause? Yeah, I can. I'm really conflicted because on the one hand, that was so fucking cool. That was really neat. Okay, so what I understand to have just happened is throughout the game, in 3 specific instances, I think that's right. I encountered a reflection of myself that was labeled with the name of the Steam ID tag of a Steam friend of mine. Different ones each time. And they said something incomprehensible to me. And that was sort of weird and cool. It sort of like created a little bit of a blur between the boundaries of the game and the network that it's connected to and me as a person, my actual friends, and that was neat, but it didn't do a lot more than that. This moment is me making some choices about the dialogue that the character will represent when I appear as a reflection in somebody else's game, right? When somebody else is playing Oxenfree and the system looks up their Steam friends and randomly picks me out of the list, then their reflection with my name over it will say the thing that I just told them to say. Because I have been trapped in time, and I'm part of this like endless wave and loop of ghosts. That is super fucking cool. There's a part of me that feels like it was not used to the full extent that it could have been. Because the things that it gave me that I could say, the one that really strikes, the one that sort of feels really important and significant, is the one about letting letting Jonas talk to his mom, right? Because that was a decision that I had to make, that felt like it was an important decision that I made, and I felt sort of conflicted about making. The problem is I don't regret the decision that I made, but I am also not confident that it was the right decision. Like, I don't know what would have happened if I had let Jonas do that. Let Jonas, like, listen for his mom. If I had, like, worked that tape player or whatever. It seemed likely to me that things would have gone bad. That Jonas would have gotten, like, seduced or taken over, or like that we would have wasted time on it, and it felt like it was playing into the ghost's hands. But it's possible that we would have learned something from Jonas's mom that, like, helped us understand ghosts better and figure out what we should do, and could have gotten, like, a better outcome. But the game hasn't really set me up to feel definitively about these particular choices. And the other two don't even really feel like they were that significant of choices, right? Like, one of them was I told Michael that he should pursue a relationship with Clarissa. And then in a subsequent flashback, he said he was glad that he was taking my advice. Not even that he was glad that I had given it, but that he was taking my advice. So that feels like that was a good outcome, I guess. But does it matter? Like, those were flashbacks. Like, does that affect anything? Did that make Michael happier, or was I just remembering him, or is there a difference? And then the other one is, like, should I tell him to go to college or leave the town? He doesn't do either one of those things. He drowns. Like, does it matter what I tell him? It doesn't feel like it's really important. So either I'm missing something, and maybe, like, I'll gain context, but I don't think so. I'm not expecting that. So either I'm missing something about sort of, like, what was important about these decisions, or how to know what the right decision was. But it feels weird for me to be telling somebody else, another player, how to play their game, how to play the role playing of it, right? How to, like, not how to make strategic decisions, not how to, like, fix something that I did wrong and I regret, but how to role play their character of, do you tell Michael that he should go to college or leave town? Like, that feels like a personal decision that one of my Steam friends is going to make when they play this game. And it's weird that I would be, like, trying to impose upon them. I think if you were able to construct a scenario where I played the game, and because I didn't know things about what was happening, I made some decisions that were really bad decisions that I could then sort of see play out in some kind of a real way, and trace back to a particular moment and feel regret about how I behaved, or what decision I made, and then be able to call backwards in time to another version of myself that's played by somebody else, with this, like, urgent, desperate message that they may or may not understand, that may or may not actually help them, but that, like, really means something to me to be able to say, to, like, try to make a difference. That feels like it would be really, really, really cool, and I did not have that experience right now, because I don't know what was meaningful about these decisions. But, that said, the fact that it is doing it, the fact that it's exploring in that space, and revealing this kind of like potential is incredible, is really, really cool. Very experimental, very, very, very interesting. Toby says, I don't think I love seeing the Steam name during the game. It set it up for this to happen. I expected it. Yeah, okay. I didn't expect it in the same way. I definitely didn't make a connection between those are friends of mine that the game has access to. I didn't even make the leap to those are friends of mine who have played this game or own this game, which seems like an obvious leap that I could have made. But I certainly did not make the leap all the way to these are friends of mine who have played this game and I'm somehow seeing a reflection of the game that they played. For me, that reveal was still preserved and was very cool. But I understand your sort of, that it is showing a bit of its hand, and it is possible to sort of piece together what you expect to happen. Toby continues, I think I'd rather find out after the fact that the mirror was played by whatever Steam friend, which is sort of, but not exactly how like Journey works. And Journey manages to preserve a little bit. If you are a first-time player of Journey, you encounter another character, and it's not always immediately clear that other character is a person and is not an NPC. And you sort of figure it out before too long, right? Like, people behave differently than NPCs do. But there is kind of this moment of like, what's even going on? One thing that I'll say is that especially given how those moments and those choices didn't feel really impactful to me, I think if the game hadn't put Steam names over the characters when they said those things, I might have not ever made the connection that of what was going on. Even when I played through this scene and I was on the other side doing it, it could have easily sort of totally passed me by that I was doing that for other people. And I think what clinches it for me is seeing other people's names over their head and then seeing my name over my head, right? That is what that's what made me make that connection between what I'm doing and what I saw earlier in the game. Otherwise, I think I really would have missed that. And that would be a shame to like not get it, to not have it click. And maybe there's another way that you could do that. You could help the player make that connection. But for me, that was sort of it served an important purpose. Okay, cool. We're gonna keep going. This is home. That looks like a Dragon Age poster, which is rad. Is this Michael? Do I get to talk to Michael?
Oh, hey, I didn't even know you were home. You're always so quiet. It's like living with a little fairy tale mouse.
Wait, did I get booted back in time?
I know, I haven't used this desk in
Alex
like a
doesn't
year,
have blue
but
hair.
Dad has all his gear on the kitchen table,
Shit.
so I've been like
Cupid is
struggling
right.
with the stupid speech, the graduation thing. I don't want it to be just the usual blah blah we've come so far type stuff. It should have like a point, right? It should bring you to your feet about something.
Sure, yeah. Give it a theme.
I'm guessing Mom probably told you about my scholarship to state, right? I don't really know how I feel about it. I mean, I feel it's not like it's a bad thing. It's a good thing, obviously.
Well, what are you thinking? Engineering? Well, you said something about sports medicine one time.
Yeah, I don't know about that anymore. It's just, it seems like half the teachers are alumni, and actually, I'm about to be really arrogant and presumptuous and say mean things for no real reason other than I think I know better, so forget it. I've bored you enough. I'm boring me right now.
I'm listening. Come on, I'm not gonna judge.
No, really, I'm talking out of my ass. It's fine. Listen, here's the... You can't tell Mom or Dad, but Clarissa and I are talking about just leaving. Getting an apartment somewhere and just doing our own thing, Getting jobs.
Wow, that's exciting. This is like a huge deal, like the Boxcar Children version of getting married or something.
It's kind of a big deal, I guess. It'll be a lot harder to break up, so there's some level of vow there. She's been really pushing for it, wanting to look for places, and I'm into the idea. I really am. I wouldn't feel right about it if I didn't have your, blessing first. So, can you just wave your hand over my head or something and say I'm alright to do this?
God, it's hard for me to say since I love you, of course, but you should do it. Totally. Even if it explodes in a nuclear war-style breakup, you'll regret never trying.
Thanks. That means a lot. Alex, just get good friends, okay? And when you're with those friends, just say yes to everything. And keep away from boys when you talk to them, it feels like you're performing. But also, stay away from girls who look you in the eye for too long. And match every beer with a water. And take classes outside of school.
Michael, what's this for? What are you doing?
This is a just-in-case package, okay? Just in case I'm not around. And I love you, and you're amazing, and that's it. So...
I love you too.
I'm tearing up. It's
But
very
soon,
sweet.
I shall be so I cannot remember any but the things that never happened.
Yeah, I don't know. Hey, she's waking up.
Is she alright?
Ouch. Is everyone doing all right? Still, yourselves?
Yeah, I think we're all accounted for, right?
Yeah, for the most part.
Yeah, my arm fell asleep.
What?
but-
Jonas carried you here.
Yeah. Okay, the important thing is that the tuning in the cave, it worked. The tear, the hole, it's fixed. The ghosts are gone.
I don't
We're going
trust
home.
this.
Or at
I don't
least
trust this.
They've stopped trying to eat our souls.
Yeah, it's important to note that.
I'm glad. I'm sorry. I was back. I fell back a few years during the whole thing, and I just saw Michael again. That's all. So, I'm just a little rattled right now.
You saw Mike?
What happened? What was it like?
Well, wait.
Yeah, okay, relax. Everybody, just...
I know I was back. It was like a week before he drowned. We came here, actually. We hiked in the woods, just spent the day together, and I don't know, I was just there again.
I'm sorry, Alex.
Yeah, I'm sure it was rough.
No, it was good to see him. It was good. He looked good. He looked, himself.
I had my older sister. It was a night where I don't even remember why she was mad at me. Probably something I said to our mom, but I don't know why that who cares night would visit.
I wouldn't put much thought into it, Clarissa. Really.
Yeah, it doesn't matter now.
Maybe it's, I don't know, maybe it's like what matters to us showed up or something.
The universe doesn't care about what matters to us.
Then it doesn't matter anyway.
No, I guess it doesn't.
I can't believe everything that happened. I feel like we should tell everyone we know. Like, go on a freaking book tour, but...
I think we'd sound nuts, honestly. I mean, it's not like...
Is this
not like
really
we have any
happening?
Proof any of this actually happened.
Is this... Rin, didn't you lose a book?
Holy crap! This is it! Thank you! I lost it on the way. I thought for sure some commuter would have just tossed it overboard.
Hey, that reminds me. What were we... We were talking about something stupid right before Alex woke up.
Prom?
Prom.
I am definitely skipping this one. I'm deferring the crown to that wheelchair girl.
Are you going, Alex?
Are we supposed to still spike the punch or just bring in flasks? I mean, do they even have punch?
Maybe? I don't know. If the urge strikes to cut a rug in front of that one janitor who leers all the time.
Come on, come with me and Nona. We'll go dress shopping. It'll be fun. It'll be like a movie montage, except none of us are prostitutes and there's no rich guy.
Sounds great. Yeah, I mean, I guess I should spiffy up once in my life.
All right, just don't say phrases like that while we're out and we'll be solid.
All right, you know what? It's picture time.
Oh my god, come on. Nona.
Yeah, I guess we should. Tonight's been, noteworthy.
Noteworthy. That is a way to say it.
Yeah, I'd probably say it another way.
Let's actually move outside so we can get the light.
Sure.
Ren, what is that book, anyway?
I don't know. I can hardly make heads or tails out of what the hell he's talking about half the time.
Here's good for the... yeah, just here.
Like, look. I'll just pick a random-ass page.
What's
Come
the
on,
book?
2 seconds. I'm not...
Like this, here. When I was younger, I could remember anything, whether it happened or not. But soon, I shall be so I cannot remember any but the things that never happened.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, everyone.
Wait, didn't you...
Cheese!
Before we'd left, I told my mom I was spending the night at a friend's house. And when I got back, I didn't see any reason to change that story. And you know what? I still don't. Ren always loved the town, but the island pretty much erased that in one fell swoop. He ended up going to college in California. He was my best friend, but I don't know if I'll ever see him again.
Kept Ren and Nona from dating. Wow, that's a very active...
Nona, I think, is going to some ballet academy somewhere, but I kind of fell out of touch with her, to be honest. Clarissa left to study English literature. She was thinking of dropping out, but is keeping at it for now. We talk sometimes. Rarely, but sometimes. I hear she's scared of the ocean now. And she got a dog too, if you care.
I care about the dog. Okay, what were, I wonder why there were so
Jonas
many
was the first
options
to introduce
there.
me as his sister. You know, without the step part in front of it. And it was weird at first, but it's the truth. He's my brother. He goes to school in town, and we see each other a lot.
Okay. But I did think he was
It's
a
funny.
demon.
What happened on the island used to pop into my head every single day, and then every other day. And then a week went by, and I realized I hadn't thought about it at all. I guess that's... I don't know. It's good, I think. But anyways, well, if it matters.
Oh, I gotta follow in Michael's...
I left town to go to school. Undeclared. I need time to figure out what I want, I guess. But anyways, what time is it? Yeah, sorry, I gotta run or I'll miss the ferry. Ren's dragging me out to Edwards Island for that yearly beach party thing. And I have to pick up what's-his-name Jonas, too. I hope he's not weird or mean or something. Whatever, I'm sure it'll be fun. It's something to do, right?
There's a lot that I like, that I really, really like. Yeah, this is cool. Kylie works for night school, I think. Yeah, time to wiki the endings. Okay, yes, Kyla. Kyla says there's some interesting discussion to be had around the ending/endings, and I agree. I don't feel entirely prepared to have that discussion. I think one of the things, yes, Kyla, I would like to get into it. One of the things that I'm feeling right now is that it's not, like, clearly there are different narrative outcomes for the different characters, right? Ren and Nona could end up together. But is there an ending where time doesn't loop? Is time looping because I went to the other side to try to close the gate? Or is time looping because one of the themes of this game is the recurrence of events, right? Like, that is very much a thing that this game is about, is the idea that things happen over and over again and that we're influenced by the past. Like, all of that, I feel like, is thematically strong. And so an ending where the game sort of, Groundhog Days, where the game starts over, fits into that thematically. But it's also, it feels like narratively it's a thing that's happening sort of because of the way that we resolved the events with the ghost. It's not totally clear to me that, like, what decisions I could have made differently or better to get a better ending. So I guess what I'm saying is that, like, this feels a lot like the game wants me to go back and play again, and it's giving me a couple of hooks. It's giving me a couple of reasons to do that. But getting a different ending isn't really one of them. I'm not sure that if I played the game again, like, is there a different ending that I could get that would be meaningfully different? I'm guessing that there is, because Kyla's saying that there are. It's something worth talking about. But it's not clear. It's not clear to me at this moment in playing the game. Okay, so Kyla says there are a bunch of different endings, in quotes, that you can get with different small outcomes, including bringing Michael back to life so he never drowned. Interesting. Originally, those were the only endings, but due to popular demand, the devs released the Leave is Possible update, which lets you end the timeline after New Game Plus. You don't get to save Michael, but you get to stop your group from ever going out to the island in the first place by communicating to them through the radio before they leave. How do I do these things, I wonder? So, bringing Michael back to life so he never drowned. Okay, so my interpretation of this is that like, there are choices that I could make in the flashbacks. That the flashbacks are significant. I guess there's three of them. There's the first one on the beach where there's one where you walk to the beach with Michael and then he leaves and you talk to Clarissa, I think. This is the first one. You sort of get to talk to both of them individually. Then there's a second one where you're standing on the cliff with Michael and he's talking about, getting stuck in the town. And then there's the third one in the attic. Okay, so if there are significant decisions that you can make in those flashbacks, I could imagine sort of going into the flashback and coming out of it and all of a sudden, like, Michael never drowned, right? Because of something that you said, you changed the course of the past, and now everybody else remembers a past that's different from the one that you remember. I don't know if that's actually what happened, but that's sort of what I'm imagining. Kyla says, I saved Michael the first time, and I think it mostly involves telling him to do his own thing when asked, but I don't totally remember. I feel like I did that. I feel like I was pretty aggressive on, like, you should leave town and do your own thing, mostly because that's what I feel like the advice that I wanted the character to give in that moment, but also out of this sort of hope that, like, if he gets away, then he doesn't, you know, he's not here, and this is where he drowns, right? So, like, I felt like I should sort of push him to leave, and that didn't work. Toby says the write-up I read says it's if you tell him not to leave town. Okay, so that's the opposite of what Kyla thought it was. Dusky says, I think it's him not leaving so you don't have that one last swim where he... Oh, because that was a one last swim. So if he doesn't leave, then there's no reason to have a one last swim. See, this is really tricky, and I am not claiming that I am good at this. But I do want to sort of note that I think there's a thing that's happening where there are choices that you can make as a player, and those choices affect the outcome of the game, but it's not clear why those choices affect the outcome of the game in a particular way, and it's especially not clear ahead of time what your choices are going to do, the effect that they're going to have. Which isn't to say, like, there's a difference between setting up a situation where you're taking a risk, you're making a decision that is risky, and it might turn out one way, or it might sort of turn out a worse way. There's a difference between that and sort of having choices that it's unclear that they are strategic, right? That they have a lasting impact. And this is, we're talking about sort of even in retrospect, it's hard to decipher what the lasting impact is. Kyla's interpretation, or Kyla's sort of memory of it, matches my sort of intuition about it, which is to save Michael, send him away. And that is the opposite of what the game sort of understood to be the course of events. There's even sort of, if the game had sort of after the fact really made it clear, really sort of tried to bring home, it's because you said this that Michael left, and it's because Michael was leaving that this happened. That I can understand how to piece that together, right? And in conversation, that makes sense to me. I believe that that's true. I would not have, like, made those connections on my own. Even playing through it a second time, I don't know that I would have picked up on that. And so I'm left with sort of, I did some things, and then some things happened, and those aren't entirely unconnected. But if you want me to go back and play again, or you want me to try to influence a friend's playthrough of the game, you want me to sort of give them advice, I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to make those choices meaningfully, because I don't really understand the course of cause and effect. Now, a lot of not understanding the course of cause and effect in this game works really well thematically, right? This is a game that is super creepy and and plays with noise and static and distortion. All of that thematically plays into sort of uncertainty and confusion, and even like disconnect. So thematically, I think it all works really well. And you're left with an ending, or the ending that I got, this sort of like, you are stuck in a time loop. You know, it reminds me a lot of like Triangle. I don't know that it lands quite the same way. And my memory of the movie Triangle, it is bleak. It's a bad ending. It's sad. But it's a very similar kind of, I guess, spoilers for Triangle. It's a good movie. Go watch it. It ends in a very similar way of like, you didn't get away. You're still stuck here. You're stuck in this time loop. That is an ending that can work. That can be a satisfying ending for a story. It wasn't entirely satisfying for me here. I think because it's not clear, is that inevitable? And I think that one of the things that Kyle is trying to bring up to the surface is that at one point it was inevitable, right? That you, it's also not really smooth. I will say that, like, the transition from, you were talking about where everybody went, and you're sort of like panning across the photograph and talking about like where everybody ended up, into and now Ren has invited me to this island and I have to pick up this guy Jonas. The game has shown me some really, really good transitions. I don't think that was one of them. And unfortunately, at the end of the game, like, that maybe is the most important one, because that's the one that I'm gonna like, that's gonna stick with me. Regardless, that's not my main point. It sounds like when the game was conceived, when it was originally released, it was inevitable that you have been sort of trapped in this loop, and now you are trapped in the loop, and you are going to go through this process, but nothing that you can do can break you out of it. Like, there are different things that you can make different choices, you can have different relationships, maybe you can even bring Michael back to life, but you can't escape the tide, right? Like, you can't escape the ocean. I think that totally works. I think that like works as a story. You can also see why there are players who would feel like that's kind of cheap, right? There's no way to win. Isn't like, don't I define winning as escaping the island? And you're telling me that like there's no way that I can win. And so maybe, you know, I don't know. I don't really know. I'm curious to do some research and try to find out like what is the story behind that. There's a part of me that feels like we have seen this in games. We have seen, this is one of the like biggest remaining markers, I think, of games as an immature art form, is that we don't have any comfort with, this is a tragedy. This game is tragic. And you're going to reach the end, and the end is going to be sad, and it's going to feel futile, and that is the ending. You did it. You got there. You got the end. The end is, you know, is that we are all trapped in this endless cycle, and history and memory are an ocean that ebbs and flows, and we are all trapped within it, endlessly. Like, you could have a movie. I mean, there's the movie that has that ending, and I think because of the form, because of the medium, there's no possibility of somebody saying, couldn't it end differently, right? Like, you don't come out of a movie and say like, okay, but like, was that the bad ending? Right? It doesn't even make any sense. But you play a game, and especially a game like this, where you are having an impact. You are clearly having an impact on what happens in the game. And get to an end and have the game try to tell you this end was inevitable. Like, how do you do that? How do you communicate that to a player in a way that they will believe? Especially a game like this that is playing in genre tropes and the aesthetics of horror very effectively, where it is, you know, it's playing with the image that it presents to you. It's playing with threats and unreliability. It is lying to you deliberately in order to achieve this sort of like this mood and the haunted effect of it. How do you then like manage to convince the player that no, we're serious this time? Like, you can't have a happy end. There is no happy ending, right? There's no way that you could do that. There's no way that if you leave the door open to the ending can change, players are not in a place where we have learned to accept those kinds of resolutions. And as designers, I don't think we figured out how to use the form to tell those stories in a way that communicates that to players. So, you know, I'm going to push back a little bit against like, you should be able to make a game where at the end, the ending is bleak and time loops, and that's how it goes. But I can also understand how a game like this would feel pressure to put in a new ending. Chat is kind of going through some of the things that are important. So Toby says that Jonas and Ghost's mom choice felt really important, but it looks like it just makes him happier is all. Which I can, yeah, I mean, I do, it seems like that's the system though, right? Like a lot of these choices aren't, like, what is a dramatic change to the narrative? What are the narrative stakes, right? I think that part of what the game is doing is that, like, within this time loop, within this little bubble of you are trapped with ghosts in an ocean of time on this island, yeah, you can bring your brother back from the dead. You can allow relationships to blossom, or you can cut them off. Those are things that you can do. Do they matter? Because the consequences of them don't persist. And I think there is an open question. I don't know if the game really addresses it head on, but there is a question. There's a big philosophical question of, you know, if nothing that you do lasts, how do you make meaning out of the things that you can do? Whew, boy. Okay. Kyla says to Toby, if you let Jonas talk to his mom, he disappears there, and it's terrifying. Yeah, okay, yes, that sounds terrifying. Yeah, wow, holy cow. Moyer says, I wonder if you play the game more than once, do you get to give the ghost recommendations to your Steam friends again, or are you stuck with the first choice? I am guessing that you get to make them again. you get to make those choices again, and I'm guessing that it overwrites what your choices were. So if you were to play the game a second time, you could do it sort of thinking ahead to what is the dialogue that I want, what is the advice that I want to give, and be prepared for that. I would guess that that's true. Dusky points out that the ghosts did give you all the rules. In one loop they say, you've tried this before, it never works. Totally. Yep. See, I think that is a good ending. I wish that the game, it's weird because now that's not the only ending, right? Like now it seems like, if I'm understanding this conversation correctly, that if you play through more than once, if you play through at least twice, then there is a way that you can escape the time loop, right? That you can escape the island. So that sort of destroys the thing that I was going to say, which is I wish the game was stronger in its communication at the end, and I know I just said, like, how do you do this? It's impossible. But I wish somehow it was stronger in its communication that this is the ending, that you can play again and you can sort of make different choices and make the relationships between people different, but that you are stuck in this time loop, and you will always be stuck in this time loop. And I think that if it did that, then that would sort of it wouldn't necessarily make me not want to play the game again, right? And to try to get different outcomes and things like that. But it would make me feel differently about playing it. It would sort of give me a more maybe tragic context for playing it a second time. I don't know. Kyla says Groundhog Day would be a much worse movie if he didn't escape at the end. That's true, but that is, yes, that's a romantic comedy, right? Like, that story is not about, that is not a horror story, right? A horror story can end with something horrific. And you know, a triangle is my example that I'll point to of a horror story that ends with something horrific, and it works, I think. And I think that it can work here too. Like, you can tell a story about being sort of endlessly stuck in time, and how existentially horrifying that is. Toby suggested a game a while ago called The Final Station. Interesting. The Final Station does futility in ending really well, I think. That's one of the things I find interesting about it, but it taps a genre that is conducive to it, post-Soviet dystopian sci-fi. It's also got a sort of a zombie theme too, right? And zombie movies have a history of bleak endings. You know, there is a legacy of that. There are examples going back of zombie movies that are sort of like, you know, a group of survivors struggling to overcome the challenge in front of them and realizing that the situation is so much worse, and cannot be overcome, even if they sort of do survive the night or whatever. Toby, that I have looked at that game. It's on my Steam wishlist now. I haven't picked it up yet, and part of that was like not being sure in the where it fits in like zombie sorts of games, and part of it is that I just haven't picked it up. But that thanks for making that connection. That sort of makes me more interested in seeing how that game sort of handles this kind of narrative. I do think that that's interesting. Yeah. Interesting. Cool. Dusky. Okay, before I stop, Dusky does point out that movies do change with screenings. Like, there are lots of examples of movies that changed their ending. And that's true. There's nothing, but I guess what I mean is are there examples? Here's a question. Are there examples of movies that released and then changed their ending? Sure there are. Of course there are. There are like director's cuts and stuff. I mean, like Blade Runner is an example. I don't know that changed due to audience demand, and maybe that's the difference. I mean, that is sort of food for thought. Okay, Clue is its own thing. Clue is Clue's a different deal. Clue plays with the medium in a way that other movies don't. Okay. One, I do have to go because I'm teaching a class tonight. Dusky says Maggie Adler escapes, right? She dies before Alex tunes in. And I do think that that's true. That she dies before Alex tunes in. And so this loop that we are sort of stuck in, that we're experiencing, Maggie isn't in it. Maggie has died. I guess what I'll say is this game leaves me with the impression that waves are not simple systems. And in the same way that sort of like waves cause the sea to come to like splash onto the shore, to sort of rise and fall with each crest, and also as the tide comes in and goes out. In the same way that like we see moments of these time loops, we see Ren and Jonas go through like these weird little looping segments, all while we are stuck in our own loop. I get the impression that like there are larger loops that are playing out, and that Maggie is involved in them, in sort of that at that level, that you know, all of the history of the last 70 years or whatever might also be looping for her, and we're only sort of experiencing a part of it. I don't know if that's true. There's not a lot in the game that sort of points to that as being true, but it feels thematically consistent to me. Okay. Rad. Okay, I gotta run because I gotta prep for my class. This was great. This is a really good game. Jesus, it won the IGF award for visuals, I think, but and sure, especially the visual effects, like the art style of the game, the basic game is great, but the visual effects, all of the sort of lighting and distortion and the like sharp cuts and editing and things like that, all of that is really good, really good. It's also like the writing is fantastic and the audio design is fantastic. It's like really good. I mean, really good at doing the thing that it's doing, right? It's got some rough edges that feel like indie studio, you know? It feels like this is a game that did not have an infinite budget. And that's, you know, I applaud that. It is really ambitious, and it executes really, really well. Yeah, and some of the stuff that it does is kind of mind-blowing. So really appreciate it. Thanks everybody. I have a short list of games that I really want to play. I'll have to look at it and figure out what's happening next week. Yeah, because there are a couple that I might jump into, but this was good. I'm really, really, really glad that I played this now. It's a good sort of follow-up to Dear Esther and What Remains of Edith Finch, and yeah, and a really good game. I'm glad that I got it. All right, everybody have a good weekend. And I'll be back next week. I think there's still mostly walking. I think Sean is still on vacation, but I'll be back midweek next week with a new game, and that'll be great. Stay safe, be well, have a good weekend. I'll see you next time.